All America's 250, and we're still hanging out here in Cheyenne. A very different show today in terms of our road shows. I'm going to get into giving y'all a little quick tour. The early audience gets a quick tour of the setup where we're in. It's going to be a little different, and I'll go ahead and tell you, AJ, about 4 o'clock your time, lower the headphone volume in your headphones. So let me do the setup, and we got big news from last night's Trump thing. There's so much to go through with that, and we'll do our best. The rodeo has just kicked off in the arena. Of course, if you joined us yesterday, we were in the arena, had a good time. Super crowded over there right now, and you can hear the volume perhaps in the background while they're doing all the. I just saw flyover right over our heads here. Of course, heard the national anthem, and they're starting all the pageantry that gets 10 days of rodeo kicked off here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. What I chose to do today, and it was at the invitation of our guest yesterday, that was the chair of the committee that raised the money for a very special thing here at the rodeo grounds. So just to give you the big picture, the rodeo grounds are huge. They've got a fairground out in front of the arena, which is as big as some college football stadiums. They have, of course, several components, all this shops and booths, and there's a cowboy museum next door that is inside it. It's next door to where we are right now. We were going to do it in there, but it's super quiet, almost too quiet for me. When I'm doing a radio show, I'm kind of loud and talking, and and I had the choice of air conditioning or doing it this way today, and I chose to do this. So we're at the Indian Village. They just dedicated it this morning, just a few hours ago, an incredibly emotional dedication ceremony. And what they've done is put millions into this incredible space so that when they're having their Frontier Days and occasionally when they're having other events, people can come here and learn about. It's not, as I was listening to the speakers today, it's not like the Indian side of some story and the cowboy side of some story. We've been sort of conditioned in this country to think along those terms. Literal tribalism, as if we're all divided into our little groups and one is always pitted against the other. We all know cowboys and Indians. We know the history of all that. But the two cultures have always been here together, and now they've parked these two together, and they're sharing the space in the most harmonious way. The ceremony was just beautiful. The tributes, and here they don't prefer to be called Native Americans. That's another one of those made-up phrases that liberal white people came up with. They just want to be called American Indians. They're extremely proud of their heritage. And over the years, the two cultures have really meshed a whole lot. And so it was a very nice man, and I got to hear him speak today, who just was walking through here one day, obviously quite wealthy, and said, I want to contribute and help something here at the rodeo. I love the rodeo. And they looked over here in the corner, and they had a little tiny, not too nice Indian village to pay tribute to the Indians, a couple teepees and some stuff. But they said, we've got this $1 million plan to build something bigger, and it would cost $1 million, and we're not going to ask you for that much. And he looked at him and said, you need to dream bigger. He goes, let's do something that blows the world away. And so he put his money up. A lot of his other wealthy people, they had grants, they had other major donors, they ran into construction issues, but they created really a 3-acre village here that's quite amazing. Let me just show you a couple of things, and we'll I was teasing what was to come this afternoon. And that, ladies and gentlemen, were two F-35s. Did you hear that, AJ? Good Lord. I thought that was over. Here comes America. Hold on a second. I'm feeling patriotic. Have you ever been underneath the flyover, AJ?
Yes.
I could have reached up and I could have given a high five to that pilot. They came. Thank you, Pete Hegseth. These are back now. Dude, they just flew straight over. You remember the day I did the show at the air show where that was the entire show was 4 hours of jet planes? That was a long time ago and a whole lot of fun. So as you can tell, these flyovers, all this stuff's happening right now, so they're just getting all these events kicked off. So I wanted to change it up. We did a lot of Cowboys yesterday, and we've done a lot of that here at Cheyenne, but this was really remarkable what they built and what they did. So what they did, let me see if I have a wider shot. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, this is your chance to see what I'm talking about. For those who can't do that because you're moving around on a Friday, I totally get it. So that right there, I'll try to be descriptive too if you're not able to see it. That's a theater in the round, and they call it their dancing circle. And it's very symbolic of the culture. Miss Renee described that to us yesterday, where there's no straight lines in here for the sidewalks and the pathways because everything is a tribute to nature. But that's where they do ceremonial Indian dancing, and they did it earlier today, about 12:15 our time. I guess it went for about an hour. It's a lot of drums and a lot of singing, but if you'll look, AJ, you see all that duct tape on the ground? I spent some time out in the hot sun trying to get that wire secure so I could move that camera over there in position. So I hope that later in the show today, I'll be able to take you inside. Right there, there's that camera shot, and it'll get crowded with people. It was a beautiful ceremony, and so they'll do another dance somewhere around 4 o'clock. And when you come back to me from the commercial break, I don't think you'll be able to hear me at all. So we're going to go with it. That's why we do these shows. So in the 4 o'clock hour, if this is your thing or if you've never seen this kind of ceremonial presentation, I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit. And I think the audio ought to be pretty good, AJ, because there's not going to be any problem with me picking it up. From here, it's an amplified space. So they created this beautiful space. And then if I could pan the camera around just a little bit. There's the dance arena. Back over in there, if you kind of look real close, there's some teepee. There's sort of a teepee village. These are authentically constructed from the construction techniques and materials that would have been used in the day. So that's part of the tour. When you walk around here, there's a storytelling pavilion, which I'm extremely interested in, just on a personal level. Oral history has been a part of many, many cultures, including a lot. And here comes, I think, another flyover. I was getting ready to pause, man. But anyway, so we'll be having a little bit of fun here on this Friday, presenting some of this stuff. Hopefully, if all the tech works and everything goes well, it does get to be a crowded space, and so I just try to squeeze. Part of my deal is to be over here, and what I learned too from yesterday, AJ, is my particular cameras, they're either good on the inside or the outside. You can't really do both. So yesterday I was a little dark. I was under a shaded area, which is a must. I think if I had to stand here in the straight sun for the 4 hours, I'd be laying flat on my back by the end of the show. So I managed to get away to get shade and have a little kind of a background, as you can see there. Let me see if I have any other angles for you on that. So yeah, there's my camera position, and this is where I'm hanging out for the next 4 hours. And enjoying myself immensely. I didn't get to, part of doing the show is I really won't even get to see the rodeo today. That'll be over before we're done. That's how long our show is. But it's just going to be fun to be in the environment. And it was real happy that my wife and a little bonus kid is able to go and take that in. He's just thrilled to be here, and they're kind of treating him like a little celebrity. So I think he's all in it with his little cowboy hat and all that. So it's been a fun time. Now, let's get to, I'm not going to neglect the news of the day because it is thick and it is everywhere. And so here, the big thing, of course, is, let's get into that for just a little bit. Here comes another flyover, so y'all going to have to let me pause. This may be the same guys coming back around. Or they're just doing, that may be some afterburners from something where they're making a circle back to their base. There's some assets buried. Here it comes. Let me just pause, AJ. I wish I could stick a camera up there and let you see that, but I have no idea which way they're coming from. Flyovers are just the best. I wonder how much the military's done that this year. It's a combination of America's 250, all these extra ceremonies, and now you've got a Secretary of Defense that actually is proud of the military and his country, as opposed to some of the previous ones. And so, yeah, so we're out there doing it again. That's some of the best PR you can do for the military. Can you imagine being a 15-year-old boy trying to decide what to do with your future, and you're at an event, one of these things happen, and it might just get you inspired to do that one day. I think a lot of kids get the notion to be in the military from some ideas like that. So, yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of fun today, and y'all just bear with me. Hey, Jay, I'm also a computer down. When I was packing up this morning, I was trying to think of everything I might have forgotten, and I forgot the main thing was one of my main computers that I use for the show. But we can make it work. I can still see your call screen, and I know what's happening back there with all that. Again, our number is 545-9950. We certainly appreciate any phone calls this afternoon. We'll get you worked into the show. Let me give a couple of minutes to the Trump thing, and there'll be a lot more to say about this over the coming days because it was kind of several parts. He made, by my count, 3 or 4 different announcements, all tied together into the theme of how corrupt our elections have become and how they have been breached. And it was not bombshell. Let me just be real. Trump kind of drones on and he repeats a lot, and we've heard it all before. So he opened the speech with his accomplishments and how far we've come and how good things are going, but then he had to pivot to the past. And I get why you would structure a speech like that, but honestly, the first 10 minutes was just the same old stuff, and I was prepared for a letdown. And then we found out they have created, as they sort of hinted at this week, a website where they have posted declassified documents to show that the Chinese have interfered in our election. They've stolen election data, 200 million, if I have my calculations correct. They've stolen 200 million voter files from several different states. And what they did was declassify those actual records. And what those records show, I was having to depend on a lot of other people that are following that story and paying attention to those things. I was having to depend on that for some analysis. And what they found was just breathtaking. We've got people inside the FBI talking about managing a shadow government. The bigger thing is that our intelligence officials and our FBI under previous leadership knew this and did not report it to the president when Trump was still president before he left office after the stolen 2020 election. And they didn't tell him. They hid the information. And this was all the while they were creating a complete fiction over the whole nonsense about Russia. And so we got this dynamic where, if you want to go our side, their side. For years, we had to listen to nonstop coverage and coordinated sheer gaslighting and propaganda coming from particularly people on the left who decided Trump had, quote, remember all this, colluded with Russia to rig the election. And there wasn't a scintilla of evidence of that, nothing. And we had a special counsel, we had investigations, people got arrested and subpoenaed, and it was nonstop coverage for almost 3 years. It was all an attempt to disrupt his administration, and it worked. Jeff Sessions' fallout from allowing this stuff to go to a special counsel. They never had a damn, listen to me now, they never had a damn piece of evidence, none of it. I don't care who you are, who you supported back then, you cannot find any evidence of what they floated out there in the world and gave maximum volume to. Trump, on the other hand, has put the damn documents out into the world. They've been declassified. These are government reports and transmissions and communications about what was happening. And China rigged our freaking election. They were producing fake IDs, driver's licenses, so that ballots could be produced with those fake driver's licenses, so they could be sent through the mail and stuffed into places like Georgia and Arizona and Michigan. And they did it. And we kind of knew they did it, but we didn't have any proof. And our government knew they did it. Our government was complicit in it. The CIA was paying the Chinese to manufacture anti-Trump propaganda, which they would turn around and leak to their friends in the media who would give it volume as if it was real. And then we've got accusations in those reports and some of the evidence in those reports that those same people in the media were on the take from the Chinese. They were getting paid money to spit this propaganda out. It's the most, I've said it over and over, I didn't even know how much I knew then. It was just total gut instinct and years of experience and a little bit of wisdom over the years, is that, and it hasn't been fixed yet. By the way, that's something to point out today. None of the stuff's been fixed. But that was the most corrupt season in American history. Between COVID, the phony BLM stuff, the Chinese were behind that stuff. Their whole goal is to create division and disruption, propaganda, lies, and they were doing everything they could. Not that they're necessarily pro-Democrat, but they wanted Trump out of the way. Trump was a threat to them dominating us, and it worked for a little bit, and now he's there confronting them and kicking their ass. I'm going to tell you, people need to be arrested. There are reports, parts of these reports in this information that shows that Obama ordered this stuff, ordered those things that were discovered to be burned. They even chalked that up to incompetence, because that's the to me that's the deadly formula with our government. It's a deadly combination of arrogance and incompetence. They believe they're untouchable, and for a while they were. And if you remember, during all this when it was happening, we didn't have X. We didn't have, Elon Musk had not rescued free speech by buying this platform so that we didn't have to succumb to the censorship of the other platforms in corporate America. And so a lot of this information wasn't getting out. And willful dupes out there who just want to support their political side, i.e. Democrats, Biden supporters, Kamala supporters, Hillary supporters, whoever, these people were very much willing to believe every word of it. And you people got jerked. You got fooled. If you're listening to me and you're one of them, you just got fooled. I'm not saying you're a fool. I'm giving you some grace. I'm saying your whole ecosystem was a lie. Everything you were hearing and believing and were buying into and getting with arguments in your family over was a straightforward lie. And now we got documents to prove it. And now let's double down on that. So all that's out there. They put the evidence on the internet. And they're not covering it. I told y'all last night, they'll memory hole it. They'll act like it didn't happen. So that's one of the bigger headlines today. And I got some criticism about not even that, but even the way Fox is covering it today. It's fascinating, and I think I know why. So we'll get into that. We got your phone calls. We got our wonderful folks here at the rodeo and all the flyovers and all the other craziness that's happening. And we may even have an interview or two before you know it to talk about this beautiful space they've built here. And we invite y'all to come out and take a look at it yourselves in person anytime you can out here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Leland Live on the road back here in just a minute. Stay tuned. Hit me. Hey, AJ, got a friend with me now. Y'all welcome back here to Cheyenne, Wyoming. We just had like 3 or 4 flyovers in a row, and I cannot promise you we're not going to have another one. And it's so fun to watch because we don't see the front end of it. We just kind of see it coming from a distance. The reason I'm able to set up here in this cool space and present in a couple of hours this thing is, everything's run by committee when you're dealing with volunteers. And somebody said, you got to talk to Rich. One guy called him Bruiser. So meet my friend Bruiser.
Well, thank you guys throw me on here. I appreciate you and listen a little bit about what's going on here in Cheyenne, Wyoming today, and hello to all our friends down in Alabama.
Yeah, this is such a fun stop, one of our favorite stops. And your volunteer team is just the best. Everybody's going way out of their way to try to help us with all these logistics and get all this gear schlepped in here, and y'all have been just wonderful. I appreciate it.
No, we'd love having you guys up here. There's 3,000 volunteers that make this to happen. It's unlike a lot of rodeos. I mean, it really is a 100% volunteer run, almost 100%.
Rich and I have something in common. I am from Roanoke, and he is from Roanoke. The deal is I'm from Roanoke, Alabama, and he's from Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
We're comparing notes.
That's southeast.
That's
a little different out here.
Don't you love the no humidity out here?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I actually have a home down in South Florida, and we go down there and we sweat our butts off all day long when we're down there. And up here, it's a little different animal.
How proud of y'all of this Morning Star exhibit and everything that's going on?
I tell you what, when they brought out the idea of this concept, I'm like, I'm not sure how this is going to work and how it's going to fit in. And I'm just absolutely stunned. We've been watching it get grown up, the last year or so. And the developers, the builders, and the whole committee group has done a fantastic job. This is really impressive. If you have a chance to get out here, you got to come out and do it.
Yeah, I think so too. We're going to try to show the audience later a little sample of some of the presentations and the dancing that'll happen here, and and here comes a big
Another
boy.
flyover.
That looks like a C-130.
Yep.
Have y'all just absconded the whole United States military today? Because that's the 6th or 7th.
Yeah, we did. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but we brought everybody right here for this week.
It's America's 250, and we got a super patriotic audience, and we've been to a lot of places through the 4th, but I mean, it just doesn't get any more patriotic than venues like this and the people that participate and come here. This place loves this country.
Yeah, it's as American as it gets. You go back to 200 years. This is kind of how we grew the West. And the military is a huge part, always has been a huge part of Cheyenne Frontier Days, and I know that's going to continue. It's pretty cool.
I was listening to the dedication ceremony to the facility over here, and they did a whole portion of appreciating the service members that were there and their contribution to American military service as well, and I thought that was just beautiful.
Yeah, the amount of effort is put on here. We have the military base here in Cheyenne. It's unbelievable. It's a huge part of Cheyenne is what we have here at the military. So we God bless them. God bless them all here or anywhere across the world.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, look, I appreciate you, man. If there's anything I can do for you, I'm kind of stuck right here for a little while.
You do your thing, man. I'll see you later on.
All right, brother.
Good seeing. Thank you.
There's my new friend Bruiser, who helped me get in here. I like calling him Bruiser. He told me his real name, and I said, Bruiser's easy to remember. So, and I asked him where he got that. It was one of the other guys that works on the committee just named him that. Like he said 28 years ago, and it just kind of stuck. He actually has it on his badge. All right, live here over in the Morning Star Amphitheater and the American Indian Village that they built here at the Cheyenne Rodeo. And so there's all kind of crazy stuff going on in the rodeo arena right now, the actual rodeo event. And then we're over here, and in a little while, a real treat. I hope it all works out technically for the audience. This should be at 4 o'clock our time. We're going to spend a good part of that hour just letting you hear and see what they do in this beautiful facility that they built and just opened up and had their first dance and their first dedication today. Live here in Cheyenne, Wyoming with the Leland Live on the Road tour. We'll be back here in just a minute. Stay tuned. All right, y'all. Here we go again. Leland Live Talk 995 233. As we are getting through the afternoon here today. You know, I'm a little uppity about floor coatings. I'm going to go ahead and just admit it. Especially after I met Kevin and learned what I learned from Kevin over at Floor Tech about what they did to improve an entire industry, a whole industry improved by an Alabama-based company. Let me just tell you the quick backstory. So he's an entrepreneur, and he had been in many businesses. One or two of the businesses that Kevin's been part of have found their success on this radio show. So when he got Floor Tech going, he wanted to come on, so I wanted to go over and see what they had, what they were doing. And I love the first meeting because he dove right into it. He was so excited about his product. So they realized that the floor coating industry, there's a whole industry, a category, centered around putting coatings on concrete surfaces. Not too dissimilar to the one you're looking at there in the arena, in the Morningstar Arena, just raw concrete. And it's nice when you first make it, but every time concrete gets dingy, it gets dirty. And if it's a used space, like a garage floor or even a retail show space floor, you're going to spill stuff. Cars are going to leak. You're going to get things on it. I don't care how careful you are. I've done that too, even in my pole barn. I've got neon paint, don't ask. It was from a party. I got glitter from that same party. I got oil. I got chainsaw oil. I had a transmission leak one time in there. Just things going to happen. Discoloration from a water spill, actually, that I didn't notice. And so it starts to look bad. And it's also, that stuff just seeps into the material, and it's not good for that either. So people put these floorings down to protect the floor and to make it look good at the same time. It makes it cleanable, moppable. But the problem is, the concept's good, but over the years, these products just fail. They peel after some time. Hot tires on these surfaces will just peel them right back up. That's what happened to mine. I did a project like this 20-something years ago, peeled right up after a few months. Part of it turned yellow wherever the sunlight was, wherever the windows let in the sunlight, all that faded and turned yellow, so it wasn't even in color after a short amount of time. Kevin and his team said, look, this is too valuable an industry and too much demand to have crappy products out there, so they studied the products. They studied all the products and found out that they put solvents. Their competitors put thinners and solvents in their product for a number of reasons, mostly driven toward profitability, and it just makes a weaker product. It's a smelly product. They put it down and it off gases for 2 or 3 weeks. You can't walk on it right away. It's just not a pure product. So they took the impurities out. You know, that's true of our food. That's true of anything you use in life. And I've learned that certain things in life, you want the quality stuff. So that's what they make at Floor Tech. It's what they install at Floor Tech. They'll come and show off for you. And they've got a whole demonstration of what the difference is in their product and their competitors and why theirs is guaranteed for life. So the reason I bring it up is here in the media room, they got the same speckled floor coating inside that floor of that concrete room. Every time I walk in there, I almost want to go, well, you know, I know a guy that could do it better than this. But he's in Alabama, and he's doing these projects back there. So if you are thinking about getting this done, getting your floor dressed up and making it look good, again, retail spaces, some people do other walkways, pool decks. There are many, many uses. But the most use is going to be the residential garage. Y'all reach out to Kevin at Floor Tech. It's T-E-C-K, or T-E-K, floortechcoatings.com. Spell it with a K, floortechcoatings.com. Let them come see you and show you what they can do at Floor Tech. All right, let's talk some more about the Trump speech. My man Joe's in Coleman. I figured he'd have some thoughts about it today. And I've got so many things to say about it, and I need to talk about the media coverage too. Joe, we'll start with you this hour. What's up, buddy?
I listened to the speech. I've gotten to where I try to listen to these things more than I do watch them.
Yep.
Because it just, you know what I mean? It gives you a whole different perspective.
Yeah, because you're not distracted. You're kind of listening to the words more when you're not paying attention to mannerisms. I'll do that a lot more myself too.
Yeah, and so much of the time now is people. I don't know. Like, I mean, I thought I had it was a revelatory takeaway from me. And then when you start to listen to the talking heads afterwards, you're like, well, this is no big deal. Well, I mean, it seemed like a pretty big deal to me. And I guess what they're focusing on, I guess, the media kind of focused on, we knew that the Chinese had been doing this, and we did know all that. But the real focus of what happened last night that I thought the key points were, and what should be the highlight, is that the intelligence community completely hid these things. You know what I mean? I mean, just didn't even tried to cover them up. I mean, they tried to erase them. They tried to use a burn bag. They tried, you know what I mean? All these things to cover up the fact that these things were happening, and so there was no way that they could get to the right authorities to be able to do anything about them, to be able to alert anybody.
Yep.
To me, that was the key. That was the key takeaway. It's less about we know election fraud. My God, there's more election fraud that goes on that's a lot more glaring. You know what I mean? And we know about, and the evidence of, that's a lot more than this. I keep hearing, well, there's no smoking gun. There's no smoking gun. Well, how about the people that tried to cover up the fact that all these different agencies from all these different governments from all over the world are trying to have influence and some kind of pull in our election?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they don't want to come. They don't want it to be coming to light at all because they favor one party from another. It's one thing when it's the media doing it. We expect it from the media.
Yep.
But it's a different thing when it's the people in our intelligence community that are supposed to be looking out for the best for the country. And that's,
it was all of them.
Yeah. And
because
so I think you're going to have – I think this is a setup for indictments to be coming down.
It should be.
Because I'm not talking about big-name people. I'm talking about people that should be eliminated from that place that are still there, that are these bureaucrats that have been there for years that did the real work. Do you see what I'm saying?
There were names in the documents that have never been posted. We've got this FBI woman that said she was basically running a shadow government. And whether she was kidding around or not, it didn't look like it in the context. She was acknowledging to someone that they were managing this information off the books, basically, among some group of them that thought they knew better than the elected people's representative, which is Trump and a lot of people in Congress. Now, add to that, Joe, that the guy they appointed to look into this and some other things and going and trying to frame Trump was digging through the text messages. We just learned that this week from several members of Congress, including Tommy Tuberville. Here's a guy who wasn't even properly appointed, Jack Smith. Not only was he getting the digital log of records of text messages of elected members of Congress, they were reading their messages, and he perjured himself before Congress. And I don't mean, I try not to bloviate when it comes to calling for people to be indicted, but it should start with people all the way. I mean, Barack Obama is up to his skinny little neck.
He did it back in 2012.
Every bit of this stuff.
Yeah.
Every bit of this stuff.
Did it way back before all this.
The problem is indicting a former president for giving those kind of orders people would be hesitant to do it, not because he's the first black president and all that goober stuff. But the real thing is presidents have so much authority to manage the executive branch, and proving that one order versus another is unlawful or how it's interpreted is difficult for a prosecutor. The problem for Obama is going to be his post-presidency activity because he kept going with it. He kept going with it during the Biden years, and I think that if they've got him dead to rights on that, where he had no executive authority, he had no presidential immunity, he's going to be in trouble on these things because he absolutely was running the show, among many others, and a bunch of deep state bureaucrats that we don't know about. It is no longer, after last night's news conference, let me just definitively say, it is no longer a conspiracy theory in any way. These are facts. There's a fact pattern and a presentation of actual evidence, unlike what we've seen in other type scandals that is out there for the world to see and the world to cover. And look, Trump was proper to pull the media into it because they were as complicit during all this, during all of it. The fake amplification of the Russia hoax stuff, the suppression of the information about this, the peddling of pure gaslight propaganda that's being fed to them by these same people that are trying to run everything. They've gotten to a place where they don't think the American people should decide who runs the government. They should run the government, and they were doing it.
Yeah, they were doing this stuff. Remember, they were doing this stuff back during World War II, during the Holodomor and all. Yeah, I mean,
sure.
they were getting paid off.
They covered it up, too.
With favors. Yeah, and they covered up all of this stuff, and they've been doing it back then, and they should have been punished for it back then. So I don't know. I just think the focus to me last night, it didn't seem like it was real involved as far as what the Chinese did. It was more. Does that make sense? It was more focused on these are the perps, on our side of the situation for our government that we need to hold accountable. And I guess hearing the media and MS Now and all these people, they're always going to do this, but their whole focus has been on Trump is trying to he's trying to convince you that the next election is going to be rigged. You know what I mean? He's trying to dissuade us from. So it was all to try to put gray in the election process for the next time, for us not to trust our elections. To me, last night really didn't have a lot to do with that.
Well, what to me, what last
votes being changed or anything? Does that make sense?
Well, last night was on the record. He didn't bring the detail. He brought the synopsis. He put the narrative out there and gave permission for the stuff to be disclosed. The big reveal was actually people who took the time to go to WhiteHouse.gov and pull those documents out. And then the explosion of documents last night and today is that's been the stuff where cases are made, not just that a president has declassified something, but he laid the narrative out. And it was the Chinese, it was the Michigan case. We talked about that Michigan case right after the election in 21. All we talked about was they caught these people. They caught these people making ballots in the back room of a fake eye care center. I remember the details. And one of those, the guy that owned the business that was doing that was doing it in Georgia too. It was called something like GHB or GBH or something. And I think he had an operation here in Alabama. And that was his gig, was to go around and set up these fake ballot operation centers around the country. So they busted him doing it because a clerk in Michigan noticed that all these ballots looked exactly the same. They'd not been folded. They couldn't have been mailed. And so she was alert. They traced them back to this location, found they had put up a front that the business was an eye care center, but in the back they were paying people in, if you remember, they were paying them in like MasterCards because it's not traceable. So they were going out buying a bunch of prepaid cards, giving them prepaid cards. That way it doesn't trace any money back to them. And they were sitting there all day filling out ballots and signing them with all these fake names. They get caught. The state authorities rushed in to look, and the feds demanded to come in to take over the case. The feds come in and Bigfooted the case and killed it. Yep. And that was under Biden. They killed everything about that Michigan case. And if you look at how close the races have been there, it absolutely could have been the difference in what the outcome in Michigan. We've already got a mathematical fact pattern in the state of Georgia that Raphael Warnock and Ossoff and Trump's both elections, all that stuff was fraudulent. Those two people should not be in the United States Senate. Georgia's rigged. Same thing in Arizona. Katie Hobbs should not be the governor of that state. They produced fake elections. And then January 6th comes along, and it was part setup but part outrage on the part of those protesters. And it was the perfect cover story for them to get anybody that ever opened their mouths to challenge their system they had built, to have them ostracized under this notion of election deniers. So when they can't call you racist or some name like that to shame you into speaking up and to not speaking up, they'll call you an election denier. And they went with that like a theme. All these networks that skipped it last night participated in the election denier fantasy land.
Well, and that's the other thing that's a shame. And that the FCC or they should be able to do something about pulling these people's licenses. I do agree with that.
100%.
If you can't put a presidential address from the President of the United States, you know what I mean? That is important. I mean, we needed to know about the situation in Iran. We didn't know what the latest was there.
Right.
And
They're so dishonest.
Put that out there, and then you're going to commentary. You're going to do commentary on something you didn't even show the people. That's completely dishonest. Now that right there is that's some Russian propaganda.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? That's some stuff right there that's made of history. And
let me pile in with another network. I want to criticize Fox News right now. Fox was very peculiar last night. So they go back to Sean Hannity. And the miracle last night was they got Sean to shut up for an hour or 20 minutes while Trump talked. I mean, he never shuts up. He just never shuts up on his own show. And so, and it's okay if he didn't want to have guests, but he has guests and he keeps talking. And so Sean comes back and he's kind of ashen looking, and he looks at the camera and he immediately moves on to other stuff. And I thought, well, they're just not ready to react. They haven't looked at the documents. I expected him to just get his trumpet out and start blowing the trumpet horn because he's a Trump guy. That's fine. But then today I turned on Fox News this morning and it wasn't their top of the hour. It wasn't their third story. It wasn't their fourth story. I haven't been able to watch them all day because the setup out here was pretty elaborate today. It took a lot of work, and so they've not gone full bore on the coverage of this stuff yet. They may, and here's what I think is happening with them. Fox got themselves in a lawsuit over one of these voting machine companies, and part of this information out there is that these voting machines have been hacked. They're extremely vulnerable
because of it.
Exactly, and they were already used to manipulate the election in Venezuela for Maduro. And so you're supposed to believe they would do it in Venezuela, but they wouldn't do it here. And so that's all out there now. And Fox got themselves, they were intimidated by the lawyers that were representing these companies with these machines over their reporting. And the easy thing for them to do was write a check and make it go away. It's what corporate America does. Even if they were right, they won't stand up for convictions because they don't have convictions. None of these corporations have real convictions. And so Fox cut the deal. And $100 says inside that deal, they're not allowed to report on this stuff anymore. They agreed to go silent on it, pay off the company, and fire Tucker, and they did it. And now they can't even cover this because of a pre-existing, probably NDA / settlement agreement that they engaged in themselves because they're a business. As much as they try to be a platform of journalism, they're just a business. And I think they're scared to cover it right now because they're caught in this bind for settling that case, which they should not have settled. They should have fought it out.
Absolutely. Man.
Yep.
All right. Have a good one, dude. See you.
Thank you, Joe. Joe helped me get this stuff done today. I appreciate you, man. Hey, let's talk about Alabama Dental Associates. We all got to go get our teeth done at some point. You should do it twice a year, the cleanings, the x-rays, the basic stuff. I've been lucky in life. I've never had a cavity. I got some crooked teeth, but they strong. John's every time I go, Dr. Brian's always trying to find a cavity, and I know at some point I'll age into it. But I've got family members, and I've had people close to me with terrible teeth issues, pain, abscesses, root canals, stuff that goes wrong, and it's just miserable for them. So let's talk. For people on the high maintenance side of this stuff or low maintenance side of this stuff, Alabama Dental's got you covered with all those hours. They've got the expanded hours, like we talk about all the time, of being up until 7. They're open on Saturdays. It's everything you want. And because of those expanded hours and the expertise there in the shop with 4 different dentist specialists and a massive team around them, a wonderful team around them, the flexible hours, the high-tech equipment, they can handle what you got going. And if you start hurting on a Friday night, you don't have to wait till Monday or Tuesday to get in to see a dentist. They can squeeze you in there on a Saturday if it's an emergency. And I'll bet you, I'm not sure about this, but if you're already a patient of theirs, they got all your information. It's even quicker for you to get in and go see them. So go see them for your routine stuff. And then when something does go wrong and you need some real help, they can help you. It's, of course, alabamadental.com, alabamadental.com. We'll take a quick break, come right back. Y'all stay tuned, Leland Live. All right, y'all, let's keep going. Leland Live, Talk 995, still here in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where sometimes it's super quiet and sometimes it gets super loud with flyovers. We're a good long way from the actual arena. The rodeo, the kickoff of the rodeo is going on right now. Just to reset the scene just for a minute, we're over in the brand new, newly dedicated as of this morning, right around noontime in Alabama time. They have dedicated this beautiful space to show off Indian American culture, and that you're seeing there is the dance arena space, sort of in the round, and it's just right over to my right. And we're going to be taking you over there in a little while. We hope should be something fun on a Friday, and showing you live. If everything works out, these Native American dancers, they have another show at 4 o'clock, and it does go on for a long time. It gets pretty rowdy with the drums and the singing, but it's so fascinating. And what's interesting too is you have a lot of different Indian cultures in this part of Wyoming. Obviously, it's named Cheyenne after the Cheyenne tribe, but you've got a lot of Navajo. There's some Utes in the area. I was listening to a lot of Creeks and Cherokee from our part of the country. And while they have their different tribes and dances and similarities, there's some differences, but they kind of blend a lot of that here. So it's not just a dedication to the culture and the history for the natives that were from this part of the country. So it's super fascinating to watch them and watch how they introduce everything. So we may be doing a little bit of that, shaking it up a little bit here on a Friday as we continue at the Cheyenne Rodeo. Still talking about the Trump speech. It's getting, of course, a lot of coverage from us, but real sketchy coverage in terms of you would expect the left-wing networks to just blow it off because they were participants in the fraud. Let me say it again. Some willing, some because they're ignorant or partisan and just are easy dupes. Look, trust me, y'all, I've been a reporter and I've manipulated reporters. Sometimes they're duped into doing a lot of things based on what they will describe to themselves as journalism, but it's not anything of the sort. And that's what we get treated to nowadays from the former professional class of journalists. And then you got Fox, and I'm telling you, Fox is being squirrely about this story. And maybe they'll get their lawyers involved and decide they can actually report on it. But we'll see how that goes over the days to come. But those documents themselves and the free internet itself is exactly what the public needs. And if you're going to do your own homework and get online and look through these documents, you'll see what the big deal was last night. Let's go to Thomas. He's in North Georgia, and he's calling about the speech too. Thomas, what's on your mind?
Oh, well, I'm just going to follow up on the last caller. And he's right, they did get rid of Tucker Carlson. But also, they got rid of Lou Dobbs.
I remember that. That's right. That's exactly right, yeah.
And because Lou Dobbs, I watched his show every night. He was not backing down on the fraud, the Dominion machines, all that good stuff. But one night he's on, the next night he's not. And so I was just like, I don't think they fired him because they had to honor his contract, but they pulled him off the air. And that hit me. The way it hit me is I washed my hands of Fox and never looked back.
You know, I was a big fan of his when he was on Fox. Now he's lost his mind. I think he's gotten.
Oh, he passed several years ago.
But I still respect his right to say whatever he wants to say. That's what we all do in this business. But you're right about Dobbs. Is Dobbs still out there working anywhere? Is he on another network?
No, he
I haven't
passed
seen him
away
anywhere.
a few years ago.
Yeah, I thought I remembered that. Yeah, good point, Thomas. I forgot about that too. Yeah, they sort of did a house cleaning and went numb, and now that circle has went mum, and that circle has come all the way back around on them, and I don't think they know what to do about it yet.
No. Oh, well. All right, you have a great day out there.
All right, man, I appreciate you. Lonnie's Furniture Company bringing you the show tonight. Y'all know all about Lonnie's 92 years of having the best selection anywhere in furniture. If you're looking to spruce up inside or outside, get on the interstate, get off on exit 280, and find some of the finest people and an acre of selection under one roof. John, Reggie, that whole team. It's Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com. Back in a minute.